Hey Aquarius, what's going on? We're here with the timeless reading. The first card that we have out is Four of Wands. And King of Swords, okay. Eight of Swords. I mean, starting off with Four of Wands, you would think that like things were good or things were fine, but having Eight of Swords feels like I get this feeling of overthinking, but it really does feel like actual overthinking with King of Swords and Eight of Swords. Because Four of Wands would make it seem like things are actually fine or things are alright. There can be some type of issue with communication that's coming up. For some of you, this has to do with a relationship that you're in or somewhere that you're heavily involved. King of Swords feels like you wanting to say something or trying to understand something or figure it out. King of Swords can also be you like wanting to problem solve, but it almost feels like there's not a problem. Having us start with Four of Wands, it makes it seem like things are all right. So then to have King of Swords and Eight of Swords there can be something that you're just like overthinking about. But I don't want to just write it off as that. I want to see what else is going on, because actually let's clarify where this is coming from. Why are you in the Eight of Swords? Has to do with the relationship I'm seeing specifically, like something going on between you and another person. Maybe it has to do with from what I'm seeing, it can have to do with like communication, it can have to do with compromise, it can have to do with expectations and values, like that type of thing. But even like it can have to do with a dispute with you and another person. Like maybe there's something that's being confronted right now and you guys have to sort of like communicate, collaborate, get along. And maybe that's where the issue is. King of Swords and Eight of Swords almost feels like I'm usually able to figure these things out, but for some reason I'm thrown off within this situation. King of Swords, Eight of Swords can feel like I want to do something, I want to say something, or like I do want to wanting to say something, but you can feel like you don't know how. It can be like that type of thing. I get this feeling of like wanting to take action, but feeling like you're not able to for some reason. It's like the same way you want to take action feels like that way in particular you're like blocked from doing exactly that with Eight of Swords. Feels like rather than something moving forward, it feels very stuck, and you can feel like there's something that you're trying to resolve or something that you're trying to put your best foot forward with. I wonder too if this feels like something that you look at it and you're like, normally I'm good with this type of thing, but in this situation I'm struggling. It feels even like that. Because King of Swords shows you being really capable of, like, there's nothing that you're not really able to figure out. But then having Eight of Swords is telling a different story, and that can be just how you're feeling right now. Okay, so in the deck that I'm not using, but that I was like clarifying with, I was seeing Strength wanting to come out, and now I'm seeing Strength again. So I'm seeing heavy presence of Leo energy, whether this be your placement or you're dealing with somebody with Leo placements. Okay. So, whatever this is that you're involved within, you can feel like you want to do something, but you can't for some reason. It's like that type of thing. I don't think that you can't. It just feels like one of those times when you're like maybe not sure how. So it's not for lack of wanting to, for sure. I wonder too if you just feel like you're stuck in sort of a puzzling situation here. Yeah, a relationship for sure. Seeing strength and seeing the lovers. Strength and the lovers. What comes to mind immediately when I see that? Communication is going to be important. Loyalty is going to be important too. That's something with strength as well. Sort of like figuring something out, staying true to yourself, honoring what you're trying to do here with you and this person. It feels like going through a time when things can feel particularly difficult for you mentally, it feels like, in that way. And that may be a way where, like, much of you operate from that space. And so having it be stalled right now can feel difficult to operate. And strength feels like having to lean even more so into the heart space because that's what strength is about. Like Leo rules the heart, and it rules the upper back as well, and it rules the spine. Why I'm bringing this up is that like having strength here and having Gemini here, they can mean that like with strength you have to come out of an air space and into a heart space in order to connect heart to heart with this person. And there can be sort of a standing there, you know, like a sense of loyalty that comes with strength, because there is a dog on this card, and when you think about a dog you think about an energy that is a very loyal energy, and there being a loyalty that you have to this relationship. And the reason why I was speaking about the heart and the back is because this may be something where you need to like drop into your heart space and the significance to really like wear your heart on your sleeve, or like come into the heart space so you can understand where this person is, you know, to sort of sympathize with them and what's going on with them, maybe in a way that you can't maybe mentally understand. That can be part of this too. I don't understand this person's rationale, but I love them and I care about them, and so I'm gonna try to understand this, you know, I'm gonna try to make it work. It can be like that type of thing. Or I'm gonna try to look at this from a more emotional lens rather than just a mental lens or an intellectual lens. That can be a big part of this. Again, coming back for the third time, why I'm talking about the heart is about dropping into the heart space, but also what the upper back has to do with that is like it's two different sides of the same coin. Your heart is like what it is that you are like sharing and being in that place that's vulnerable where your heart is open, and your back is about trust, and it's also about vulnerability. So you know, like when we have upper back issues, it can be that sort of wanting to shield ourselves because we've gotten hurt before, because it's hard to be vulnerable, or because we were taught that it's not safe to be in a place where we're really wearing our hearts on our sleeves. And so we can happen to intellectualize things, or just like explain things away, or only be so far in the intellectual energy so we don't emotionally get hurt, you know, those types of things. So themes like that can be coming up. And this feels like heartfelt. When I just see strength in the lovers in this setting, it feels like heartfelt communication with you and this person, understanding like where your loyalty lies, the importance of your relationship with this person, that you do care about this person, and that you can be going through something where maybe mentally you don't understand it, but you're gonna have to feel your way through. Because maybe mentally this it can't be resolved in that way right now. You may have to take another route to doing it. That's not to say it's not going to eventually make sense, but you could be like, this is the way that I like to deal with this, you know? And it can be a way that's not going to be helpful right now, because you're going to stay stuck and you have to deal with this another way. You know, you have to show up in a different way, and it feels like maybe a little bit different than how you would naturally do it, but it's the thing that's going to unite you with this person, and that's why it's so important. Learning within the relationship with them. Yeah. Seeing Virgo on the bottom of the deck. Yeah, this does feel like some stuff that's going on that's intense within your relationship with Four of Wands. Four of Wands, Nine of Wands, it can feel like your relationship is being tested, and you can be a bit... Oh, I'm getting different things coming through. It feels like a time when, because you can feel like you're being tested, you can also feel stumped too, but I'm getting this almost like iciness or frozen, like I'm seeing a slushy here when I'm looking at the Eight of Swords. So it feels even like something that mentally you may be usually in a more free-flowing space, or like maybe more imaginative, and you can feel like that's not really, it's not working right now, or it's not helping right now. It can be like that type of thing. So you're going through something that feels like I'm being tested in this way, my relationship is being tested in this way. It doesn't only have to be a relationship. For some of you it is, and you'll know that be the case, but for some of you it can be like the place where I'm living at is being tested right now, or like a work situation, I feel like I'm really being tested right now. It's like the important stuff that you have for you within your life, that you want to be stable, so you can feel like you can function based off of that and things being all right, and you can feel like things are supposed to be good. Things are supposed to be harmonious between the two of us, and having Nine of Wands can feel like it's taking such a concentrated effort to get things to even be amicable. That can be the thing, and you can really be struggling because of that. It can be like very much how you're feeling. Having Page of Swords and having King of Swords, this is you needing to be flexible. And it means needing to be open-minded, and being part of being open-minded is also understanding when other people are not sharing your perspective. That's also a thing too. Like maybe you're seeing things that this other person is not connected with, and that's also part of being open-minded as well, and being accepting of where everybody is sort of on their journey with their things, you know, because we all have our own stuff here. Page of Swords, Four of Wands feels like this is a time of learning within the relation. We're calling it a relationship, but again, it can be like a living situation, it can be a work situation, can be a marriage, those sorts of things. So Four of Wands, Page of Swords, this can be a time where what was working before, or whatever, what was working before isn't working now, or you're realizing this maybe never was working like that, and now we need to figure out how to get things to work. What's the best way that we can communicate with one another? Like, let me be curious about sort of this person's values and what they're looking for. Like, what do we need in order to collaborate properly and feel a sense of harmony within the dynamic? Like it's flowing the way that it needs to be, the way that it's supposed to be, so things can be good with us, so we can be in a good spot. It's like that type of thing. So it can be like, let me be curious instead of being like, it should just be working like this, you know? Page of Swords is needing to look at this with a fresh perspective, as if you don't really know this other person that well, because maybe it'll help you meet them where they are right now in this instance, because maybe it's not how things were before with them, you know? It can be that type of thing. Going into it being like, let me just look at my relationship in this moment as if it's something that I don't really know much about, and let me look at it like that, and then ask questions or be observant instead of having these preconceived notions, which it feels like that's where the stuck energy is coming from. You know, it's like with my solid perspectives of this person and this relationship and myself and how things work, like why am I not able to sort of adapt? And it feels like adaptability is needed here. It just feels like something that's been calcified in a way where you may have grown accustomed to certain things. That's like your way of thinking. And this is a time where you need to bring back that flexibility again. And I get that this is why the image of like a slushy or something moving slow like that, you know, when something starts freezing, it's not malleable anymore. This feels like a time when you have to thaw that stuff out and look at it and take away that, well, I know them to be like this, or this usually happens in that way. It feels like you have to look at this as if it's, even if it's a relationship that you've been in for 20 years, it can be a time where based off of what's going on right now with you and this person, you have to look at it as if it's a new relationship in every moment, especially this moment. And so it's going to just, things that you may have been assuming before, you're not going to be assuming, and it feels like it's going to make things easier between you and this person. And like, get curious, have a conversation. It's like bringing back that energy that's connected with when something is fresh and something is new. There's that excitement of exploring it and discovering it, and you have to bring that energy presently in. Like, remember what that felt like. You can be the person that you're looking across from, can be again like somebody that you've known for a long time, and it's difficult to see. Maybe I got so used to seeing this person in this way that they changed and I never really noticed it, and now I'm out of touch with that. It can be like these types of things that end up coming up, and I feel like you got used to seeing things a certain way. You know, when you're like used to recognizing certain details, that it's not something you notice so much anymore. There's just this, I'm relying on that to be there because I became accustomed to it. It feels like something has shifted. And so going into this with that sense of I'm coming into this in an open-minded and curious space to see what's going on and see how it works best, because this isn't like it was working great like this yesterday. Why isn't it working that same exact way again today? And it's because things have shifted, things have changed. And so you have to approach this in a new way. And it feels like you were trying to do the same old approach and it wasn't working, and it's because of needing to be flexible here. And that is something that's going to be really helpful. And again, like, there can be a part of you that's looking at things and like you like approaching things in a certain way. You like approaching maybe this person in a certain way, and you're not able to do that right now. That doesn't mean that things aren't going to then become familiar again, but it feels like things are unfamiliar right now. You need to look at it as if this is like a new relationship that has like different rules. You guys work together in different ways now. What it looks like as far as what is going to equal harmony with you and this person can be different than how it was working before. And so putting yourself in this space of, let me find out how that works now, that's going to be the thing that will be helpful. But you could have felt like you were hitting your head into the wall, banging your head into the wall again and again because you were trying to do something the old way with like the old assumptions, and that's not going to work with this. So you really have to open up in that way and be more so intuitive with the way that you're doing this, and not be assuming, because that's very much a thing, like an Aquarian thing. And we're also seeing strength here too, which is Leo. Both of these energies are fixed signs, and it's kind of like when I get on that track, I stay on that track, and now feels like a moment where you're seeing, oh, like something has changed, something has shifted. And that's where this energy of Gemini comes through. That is the adaptability, that is the flexibility, that is the beauty of a mutable sign. It's something that's going to adapt and knows about the transition and the change. So we'll respond to a shift that's occurring rather than the shift occurring and you being like, I'm going to try to still do this the old way. And then you're like, why isn't this working? And feeling really stumped there. and it's because of needing to thaw this out so you can adapt a new perspective and a new understanding of things. But there can be a part of you that feels like it's very challenging to be in that space of curiosity. Maybe you feel most comfortable when things are familiar, and that's not what's happening in this situation, and so you're not feeling very comfortable because of that. It just feels like there's a new version of this relationship that you are now within, and you get to choose to either open your mind and adapt and recognize that this is still something that you value and that you're loyal to and that you want to hold on to, or it can be a time where you're like, I don't bend that way, and it can maybe lead to even the coming apart, or like I'm seeing like thread sort of coming out of something that's been stitched together. It can be like that sort of thing that happens. What will help you most at this time? Being as open-minded as possible, as little judgmental as possible, trying to be flexible, not making assumptions, assuming that you know how this works, anything like that, and look at it as if this is like, if it helps you to think I've entered into a new dimension and this is not the person that I knew before, even though of course there are going to be certain things, but it just feels like there's been a really big shift that has happened, and now you're sort of in the aftermath of that, and it can be an easier transition than this, because it feels like the transition has not been feeling particularly easy right now. But Strength and Lovers feels like, but I still want to be here doing this thing. This is still a relationship that's really important to me, that like, what can I do to make this work? Like, I'm seeing that type of mentality with it. Like, it's not something that you want to give up on, because we have Strength and the Lovers and both of these upright, but you can feel like something has been shifting and you weren't knowing what it meant. Maybe you were like, are we still supposed to be together? Like, do we still work? Are we still compatible with one another? Like, what is going on here? And it feels like this is again about the mentality that you're in, and the importance of flexibility here and curiosity here. Like, basically you're going from King of Swords, which was you before, feeling like you had things all figured out, to now Page of Swords, which is a new exploration of this, you know? As if it's like a new car, or as if it's a new home, or as if it's a new relationship, or as if it's a new person standing in front of you, both like yourself and also in consideration of this other person, and approach it in that way. Like, allow it to speak to you instead of you being like, you fit in that box. Like, allow it to show you what it is and how things unfold, and really be able to hear this other person. And that is going to prove most helpful for sure. And it's going to help you get out of this headspace where you're like feeling like, what can I do? I want to do something, but there's nothing I can do, like that. Because that's what I'm seeing you've been feeling like. Yeah, there's been a lot of fear about what's going to be happening with the relationship. For some of you too, I wonder if this has been something bigger, like what's going to happen with the two of us. For some of you, it may not be on that severe of a scale where like maybe the relationship was at stake. It could have been something else that was going on, but I'm definitely seeing there be anxiety about sort of where things are going with you and this person and what's happening. So you could have been feeling like, I want to do something, I feel like I can't do anything, or like I don't know what to do, and then the fear of like what's happening, and even feeling like something is beyond your control too, but this feels like a way that you can do something here. Page of Swords is an energy that's going to be like a sponge. Well, as far as observing what's going on, like that type of thing, like taking it all in, Page of Swords is not going to be like making all of these assumptions about things. The energy of being in the Page of Swords is not like thinking that you know. It's about learning what's going on and taking everything in and allowing that to shape your understanding and your perspective and your thoughts about things. Oh yeah, so much turmoil with you and this person. I wonder if there was some type of blow up too. You could have really worried that this would be the end of your relationship with this person. It looks like there's been a force of like great destruction. I'm seeing Mars and Gemini over here. Definitely can be related to that. So what this can happen is that there's been a lot of like communication or even a lack of communication and feeling like things were sort of tumbling down. But what this is, because the Tower can be channeled in different ways, the Tower can, yes, be the destruction of a relationship, but the Tower can also bring to light where things are no longer working anymore with you and this person, and it becoming very obvious through the fights, through the communication, through the commentary, through the things that are being called out, through the jokes that was kind of based off of something real between the two of you, you know, the annoyance or the passive energy, you know, whatever it is that sort of shows sign of conflict, which all of those things will be coming to light now at this point within the relationship. Points of contention. It's not indicating like all of this stuff is coming up to tell you that it does not work with this person. It's more so showing you what is not working with this person and then how to rework these things to adjust to where things are now with you and this person, so things can be good with you guys, so you guys can actually have a harmonious relationship. And that very much being an option here, but you're gonna have to be flexible with this and you're gonna have to be open-minded. And I think too that there can be a lot of fear because of what's at stake and what potentially could happen and maybe what you don't want to happen, and that could have been making it harder to see it clearly in this way of like, oh, this doesn't have to be the end of the relationship, but there are things that are going to need to happen if you want this to work. And that's basically what's going on here with this. But yeah, if you have been sort of trying to figure something out with the person that you're with and you've been feeling like, is this all going down the drain? It definitely doesn't mean to be, and it's a good thing that things are coming up to be confronted, because those are the areas where shifts need to happen. And you being, again, like Page of Swords is the key to this. You being in the position of the Page of Swords. So this is, how do things work now? Like, what's going on with this person now? Like, what works for me and what works for them now? Like, that type of thing. Of really looking at this with fresh eyes in this moment and listening. That's also a really big thing here with this too. Because sometimes it can be hard to listen when your fears are speaking very loudly and anxiety speaking very loudly, and then there's that like holding on and then becoming more stubborn, or like you don't want them to talk about this, you know, and it's like everything just needs to be brought up to be gone over here, and that's really what's going to help you. And I think too, like really listening to this other person. You don't always have to agree with what the other person is saying. It's more so about hearing what's going on. And again, this isn't like I'm listening to them and I don't agree with their rationale. This is more so like I'm listening to them, and when I'm feeling in my heart space, I can sympathize with where they're coming from, like that type of thing. Like remembering this is somebody you're meant to be collaborating with and working with, and keeping that in mind, that that's how relationships work. And that even though you can feel, again, like you're going through a tower within your relationship, which can feel very destabilizing because this looks like a very prominent relationship within your life, it doesn't mean that the whole thing needs to fall apart. This is just a time when the stuff that's not working is all coming up, and it can feel overwhelming because it's like everything all at once, but it's all of this stuff to be worked on. All of this stuff that needs to be worked on. And that also too doesn't mean, like, this stuff took a long time to get here with you and this person. Even when things got off track, it's like they're very off track for some of you at this point. So don't look at this and be like, everything has to change right now, immediately. Now is the time to listen, and just listen and listen and listen. Like, that's all you need to do right now. You don't need to go about, I'm gonna fix it like this and fix it like that. That's again assuming that you know what's going on and all of that stuff. You need to first hear what's going on and see what's going on and feel what's going on before you can be in that mindset. Because I get this feeling of, there's a problem and I want to fix it immediately based off the assumptions of how things worked between myself and this person before. And like, you're not in that game anymore. You're not in that cycle anymore with this person. This is a different type of thing. So you have to really tune into it before you can problem solve. And for some of you, you don't like that you can't immediately jump into problem solving, but you need to give this time to really look around and see what's going on. Like, you need to hear this person so that things can be assessed, and that means that you're gonna actually have to hear what they're saying. And for some of you, it's triggering listening to them because you don't like when you can't understand another person's rationale, especially somebody that you're close with, and it can really like close you off towards this person. But it's not about agreeing with them, it's about feeling them, you know, it's about tuning into them, it's about listening to them and seeing that you guys actually do want the same thing within the relationship. And that is the conclusion that you'll come to, but only if you're able and willing, especially, to listen to this person, to hear what they're saying. Because some of you too, like, you can take what this person's saying and feel like it's an attack of some sort, when really, like, they're just trying to communicate with you. And even though, like, sure, maybe yes, it can be an attack at some time, but like, there's a reason where that's coming from. Like, maybe they feel like you're not listening in any other way, so this is just the way that they feel like it'll really get through to you, you know? I'm not excusing anything, I'm just saying this as a means of explaining that even something like that can feel even contemptuous at times, it's coming from a deeper place of, I don't feel like I'm being heard right now. And so if you're not in that zone of listening, of being like, well, let me try to fix it, or let me try to do that, or it'll be better like this, but then not hearing them, they're still going to be feeling frustrated because you're not listening. And that's what's needed here. And I'm getting definitely a distinction between listening with your heart versus listening with your brain here to this person, and that being something going on. And it will make a difference with you and this person as you move through. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.